Nino is here. But the governor here tells me that 95% of Turukana County is in darkness. Continue with your explanation.
Thank you, Mutegi. To repeat again, I think I was saying that the world knows and Kenyans know of a Turukana that is always dealing with droughts and famines, where poverty levels are the highest in the country at 94%, and where all the human indicators of health, education, and education are in the negative. Indeed, it's also been an area that insecurity relating to cattle cattle rustling has been on the rise. But 3 years ago, when devolution set pace, we instilled confidence in the public community into government in terms of delivering development assistance. Now, the people in Turkana now are looking forward positively of a new beginning. And we've said we want to change that narrative. We want to change the narrative so that people can be able to begin seeing Turkana from a different perspective. Indeed, the gods have been great. We got devolution 3 years ago, where now the community can be able to decide on their own development agenda. But also, we had a discovery of oil and a discovery of underground water. And I underline water because this to me is going to be the most critical resource that the county is having. And there are several opportunities also with the fossil discoveries that has been done in that area, makes Turkana to be a heritage area. And added on to that is Lake Turkana with its white sandy beaches and the potentialities for producing energy in terms of geothermal in the famous Valley of Death called Suguta Valley, but also from wind and solar. So Turkana holds a very critical potential. And the fact that it is also strategically placed along the Lapset corridor linking to southern Sudan, that it can be a critical hub for logistics and for trading. So this is the narrative we want to change, so that the world and Kenyans can be able to know that a lot can be done in Turkana. We can do a lot of, we can grow crops through irrigation, modern irrigation system, because it's easy to negotiate with the community on the use of portions of community land to be able to produce much more food. Thank you.
It looks like Turkana is going to be El Dorado. Has that started happening? People moving in?
Yes, Mutegi, a couple of people have begun coming in, looking for opportunities, and they are also attracted by the very good work we've begun doing. If you go to our towns now, particularly Lodwar, you will see signs of modernization. We've begun fixing roads, putting up electricity, even street lights, and we are also doing planning strategies for all the other urban areas, the big urban areas within Turkana. And all this is going to be attracting a lot of investors and visitors, and that trickle has begun. And I know as we move forward that there will be many people who will be interested to come down and either live or do trading or investments.
What is the government doing to protect the interest in terms of the incoming development? What are you doing to protect the interest of the people of Turkana? Because they may find themselves outmaneuvered, ousted, or because of huge money is coming, and then there is lack of opportunity for instance, education. What are you going to do about protecting the interest? The eventual marginalization that could happen.
Thank you, Mutegi. And I think this is a matter we've looked into with my officers in government, and discussed it also with the local communities. First is we've looked at the emerging business opportunities in oil and gas, in agriculture, in energy, and we are putting significant amounts of resources into capacity building and sponsoring those who can be able to provide skills that will be required. In fact, for the last 3 years, annually we've put in 320 million per year into that capacity building. Second is we have also begun to support local entrepreneurs to be able to understand business and also expand their business. And we've developed an entrepreneur development fund to support in that effort. We've also signed memorandum of understanding with various institutions, the Chamber of Commerce, the Ken Invest, to be able to help us, Utalii College to be able to help us with the experience, with the technical input, to be able to bring the people in Turkana up to speed. The other issue also is we have engaged the business community, and we have told them that this is the time to invest now. And I can tell you, with devolution, we began with, there were about 110 registered companies. Right now I can tell you that has increased to almost, the last time we were receiving a call for companies that want to do business with government, we had 11,000 applicants. So essentially the business community is growing, and so is the middle class growing. And we believe that more investment into this group, more discussing and talking and encouraging, can be able to help this group grow. As we bring in larger investors, then the local investors can be able to grow with them, and some of them will hopefully will join that league of big investors.
The national and international investors who have come to Turkana, are they assisting in creating manpower? Like Tula Oil, for instance, if you have industry, oil industry, you need people to work there. If you are going to have power generation, whether it's wind power or solar, you need people to work there. What are they, local and international investors, doing in terms of production of manpower?
In fact, Tulo is the largest investor in Turkana, and they have been there for almost six to 7 years now, doing oil exploration. Indeed, we have had quite a number of scholarships from them. When we began 3 years, they began offering scholarship 3 years ago, we had a very, very minimal number, about 2 out of a team of 20. But now, I'm proud to say, after discussing and negotiating, we've managed to be given 14 slots out of 30. And to me, I think that is really, really positive. But we are also negotiating with many other development partners, including the United Nations, so that we can be able to get much more opportunities, even not for university degree courses, but also for mid-level courses that will be so critical. And that's why we have now revamped eight polytechnics. And one we are closely doing with Lundin Foundation, and very soon we will begin taking in a significant number of students to study various skills that will be required for all the sector.
Yeah, is there any hope of having a university there?
There's a private university already, which we graced the new buildings recently, Mount Kenya University campus, Lodwar campus. But second, we, as part of our vision plan, is to have a public university in Turkana. On our part, as a county government, we have identified land, 100 acres of land, to put up the university. We have also set some small amount of money to be able to secure the land and fence it, and we are in discussion with various universities, particularly Moi University, and also with the High Commission Board, to see to it that we have a parent university that can be able to nurture the future University of Turkana from the beginning. So this is discussions that are in progress, but we hope that we will conclude it in the next few months.
We have an investment conference next week. Let us know what it's all about. What investment?
Thank you, Mutegi. On the 5th to 7th, we have holding Turkana Trade Fair and Investment Conference in Lodwar. And the purpose of this conference is, we've invited about 500 people, including government officials and local and international investors. We hope that we will be able to show what investment opportunities Turkana can offer, from education, health, energy, irrigation, fishing, tourism, and the oil industry and infrastructure. So we hope within this time we can showcase what is available in Turkana, and we can be able to get some commitment or interest for people to come in and invest. Already, even before we've done the investment conference, a number of internationals have approached us wanting to invest in solar and wind power and geothermal, and these are discussions we are taking forward. We've got a few also who want to invest in the hotel industry, both in Lodwar and along the beaches of Turkana. And I can tell you the beaches on Lake Turkana can rival the ones in Kwale. And this is a very good opportunity to open up a new destination for tourism in Turkana and an alternative for tourism. So essentially, this is a discussion we want to go in and invite people to come and join us, grow the economy, because I do believe that the private sector is the third pillar for building a local economy. We have done very well on one of the pillars, where we're utilizing public taxes for doing a lot of development by allocating 70% to development programs. But also, we have also joined hands with the development partners to do joint programs, just like the huge program we'll be implementing, worthy 18 billion shillings, which we will be implementing together with the United Nations family beginning this year.
What is that? What that program is about? What?
The program is about putting resources together for certain projects in health, education, infrastructure, etc.
There is a big wind power project, which I think I read in the press the other day. Google, the multinational communication company, is investing in that. What tell us about that project? It's a big wind project.
You know, the name Turkana has become international.
Yeah.
The project you might be referring to is called Lake Turkana Wind Power Project.
Yes.
It is in Marsabit County. It's not in
Turkana.
But I'm glad sometimes when you do publicity for Turkana, using that particular project.
Okay.
But equally, on our side, on the Turkana side, we have a huge potential, particularly on this famous Valley of Death, the Suguta Valley. I think you remember this valley where at one time we lost quite a number of our security forces, including a district commissioner for Samburu. In this particular area, you can be able to produce from three energy sources. You can do solar on the ground, you can do wind above the ground, and you can do solar and wind above the ground, and you can do geothermal down the ground. So there is a huge potential for producing much more energy in this country, and fueling the economy of the country and the economy of the rural areas.
So Suguta Valley is infamous for insecurity. It's going to be known famously for power production. And what is the security situation there now? Are still people down there killing others?
I think, Mutengi, it's time we begin seeing areas that have been problematic as an opportunity that we can be able to gain from it positively. In fact, for almost 5 months after the leadership, the political leadership, including the president and all the governors from 7 counties in that region, came together, and we began preaching peace and telling people to dissuade from stealing and fighting each other. The situation has stabilized. And I can tell you, apart from very few incidences, that the North Rift, particularly areas that are internal, have stabilized. And this provides a conducive environment for now investors and for ourselves in government to begin providing the infrastructure, and to begin also for investors to begin thinking how they can be able to take advantage of this opportunity and of the natural resources that are available to be exploited.
Are you telling me that the traditional cattle rustling, the so-called cattle rustling, is now over between Turkana and the neighbors?
Let me tell you that it is totally gone down significantly. I think you used to hear in the media before of raidings, of killings, of looting, almost on a daily basis. And some of us were never sleeping. And I can tell you for a fact now that the incidences have become so low. It's probably less than 5% of incidences that have been reported. And the advantage is that both levels of government, together with the political leaders, have combined forces where those few incidents happen and made sure that whatever has been looted has been returned. And that has helped maintain calm. Right now, the Pokot and Turkana pastoralists are grazing together peacefully. And the political leaders are moving together. And this is a very, very positive sign that we're beginning to see fruits of peace than what we were seeing before when the conflict was raging.
Tell us, what are you going to do about the water, the underground aquifer that have been found there in terms of development?
Indeed, that discovery was fantastic for Turkana. In fact, there were 4 different underground water aquifers that were discovered. One of the largest one that holds about 200 billion cubic meters.
200 billion?
200 billion cubic meters of water is in the northwest of Turkana, at a place closer to the South Sudan border. This one, the quality issues of the water is still debatable, and we hope that we will be concluding, and we will be concluding this with the technicians from both ourselves, national government and development partners, to see how best we can be able to utilize this water, but also to see whether there are various layers of water that are fresh that can be put into use. But there are some aquifers, particularly the one around Lodwar town, is called it Napu Aquifer, which we have begun using because the water is fresh. We've extracted water, we're linking it up with the town piping system so that we can be able to provide much more water within Lodwar, but also extracting it to begin irrigation. We now have ourselves, the county, are doing a 50-acre horticulture farm, the first one under drip irrigation in Turkana. 50 acres. 50. But next to it is another 100 acres which Kerio Valley Development Authority is implementing jointly with ourselves. So we hope that these programs will take off, but equally we are embarking jointly with the National Ministry of Water and Irrigation, together with the FAO, to conduct a feasibility study for these water aquifers and for areas along the key rivers of Takwel and River Kerio, and to be able to understand what kind of land we can be able to put under irrigation, what crops can be able to grow, and what sort of infrastructure we need to put in place, so that eventually when this is done, we can now be able even to divide up the land and see whether there are certain portions local communities with the help of government can be able to farm, but also certain portions set aside for the private sector to be able to come in and invest. And we hope that within 6 to 8 months that feasibility study will be completed, and we will be able to invite the private sector to come and conjoin us in making Turkana a food basket and expanding the already huge basket of food in the North Rift.
There is a power development in Ethiopia using Lake Turkana, which has caused some concerns. I don't know how that will affect your plans.
In fact, Lake Turkana, the largest world desert lake, receives most 80% of its water from the Ethiopian highland through the Omo River. Mm-hmm. The Ethiopian government is constructing a huge dam to produce power. But equally, downstream towards Lake Turkana, they are also putting thousands of acres of land under irrigation. One of the largest concerns we've had for people who are directly benefiting from Lake Turkana Because you'll realize between Turkana and Marsabit, close to a quarter of my population is directly depending on fishing activities on Lake Turkana. We have a concern that the water flowing in could slow down, causing the lake to recede and causing fish to run into very few areas and creating conflict, because pastoralists do not know international boundaries. If they are always living next to the lake, as the lake recedes or the river, the lake recedes, they will move with the lake and say, this is still where we used to be. And that brings potential conflict. But even with the irrigation schemes, it will displace pastoralist groups. And that causes problems in the fewer areas where we have pastures. And we've discussed this together with the national government. We've been informed that there will be mitigation measures. We hope that we can still be able to get these mitigation measures so that we can save the only largest desert lake, which is a UNESCO heritage site, but also to save the livelihood of the local communities depending on it, including maintaining the ecological balance in the lake.
Is the national government, Kenyan national government, talking to the European government about that?
Yeah, there have been discussions. There have been discussions.
Because I know, for instance, Egypt is very concerned about the interference of the Nile, and there are agreements that have been were signed in the 50s, which are being negotiated, because without the Nile, there is no Egypt. So the same thing without Turkana, your country will be in a serious dilemma.
I totally agree that without the River Omo, there is no Lake Turkana. In fact, these are negotiations that should be fast-tracked, and we should be conjoined. The county government should be part of this discussion so that we arrive at a middle balance that satisfies all of us, that ensures that the local communities depending on the lake ecosystem are not negatively affected.
Considering the development projects that you have, and you have mentioned the question of pastoralism, is pastoralism threatened in Turkana? Are the people going to change their lifestyles, and instead of being pastoralists, become entrepreneurs, as you say?
Indeed, yes. Yeah. Let me tell you, my community, 80% depends on pastoralism as a way of life, because they didn't know any other way of life before, and it's been a livelihood they have grown with. Indeed, we will not see the death of pastoralism anytime, because it was born in Turkana. In fact, archaeologists have told us the first men to leave the earth practiced pastoralism. So if they have found the oldest bone of Turkana boy in Turkana 1.6 million years ago, then we believe this is where mankind lived the first time before it populated the earth. So pastoralism was the first ever economy that the first man practiced. So we don't want to do away with it. I think we have a heritage about it. But what we will want to do, because of the new emerging opportunities, because of the need for people to be able to tackle the various problems they are facing, including the high poverty levels, we will want to progressively modernize it so that sufficient water and grazing, sufficient fodder is provided, is grown, is provided within not very far distances, so that people can now think about linking the cows, the goats, to a major market, and they can be able to get resources and revenue that can help them do so many things and then help improve the way of living. So this is a process we are going into. We have also put in 2 key animal multiplication centers where we'll be handling new breeds and trying and testing them before we can release these ones to the local farmers. We know of these chips that produce a lot of milk. We know of cows that can be fattened for the market. And I think these are the new initiative we are trying to introduce so that people can begin thinking about how best to utilize the animals they have in the pastoralism economy and link it up, just the way Namibia does, and link it up with the capital economy, and use that resource to be able to improve their lifestyle.
Israel is drier than Turkana, maybe. and they have the best animals. Their dairy livestock, dairy cows produce about 100 liters per day, and they don't move. I don't know whether Turkana will continue wanting to stay pastoralism or they want to do modern livestock development. I don't know.
Let me tell you, Mutegi, the day we will begin to talk about dairy farming is the day you'll realize that the potential we have for producing milk is going to rival the traditional milk producing parts of this country. Indeed, we have had discussions with specialists from Israel, and in 2% of the land, that is where all the farming and the dairy is happening. Yeah. The same in southern Spain. Southern Spain is a desert, but it is the largest area that is producing the largest amount of milk in the entire Spain. I do believe that as we look at irrigation, we should also be looking at beginning a dairy industry, although at a very small scale, and expand it gradually. And I know that we can be able to produce of milk. Interestingly, recently I met an expert who grows fodder for dairy milk. The most latest crop, the Luzerne, the most quality Luzerne, not the one that is grown in the country now, I am informed can grow much better in Turkana. In fact, we have a good product here. If we grow it, then that directly can also be for the export market. And we hope we will take advantage of this, begin slowly, test it, and if we find that it's doing very well, then expand it and introduce it to the Turkana farmers.
Next week, when you have the investment conference, what do you want to achieve? At the end of the day, when people leave Turkana, what do you expect to happen?
Number one, Mutegi, is a knowledge about Turkana. By visiting Turkana alone provides you the opportunity to understand, intermingle with people, and to see, because seeing is believing. Sometimes what you used to hear about Turkana before, it's totally different from what you find on the ground. And I'm glad for the few who have gone there, they have come back positively changed. Second is to generate interest for those who might want to do various investments, which we will take forward and discuss and provide the opportunity to come in. And that is the marketing of the county. I think we're doing everything possible to make sure that Turkana is marketed. In fact, by the real name itself, Turkana, I think you can get it anywhere. You go anywhere in the world. I have visited a number of countries. I've been to London. I've been to recently to South Korea. And you mentioned Turkana, quite a number of people have heard about it. In fact, even when I was in London at the Royal Institute of International Affairs, where I was invited, they even asked me to do a session on the transformative agenda for Turkana, and which I did. And I was glad that there were about 150 participants in the room listening keenly to what I was saying. So to me, I think that is going to be a very big opportunity. And I believe that Turkana is going to be the game changer for Kenya. The game changer in tourism. We can double or triple or even make 10 times the number of tourists visiting Kenya by going to Turkana and to see heritage tourism, the only product that Kenya could be having that very few other countries in the world have. And of course, opportunities that abound in that county. And then join with us. And join with us, have fun with us. As they invest, they will also help in an area that has always been knowing problems to be able to move away positively out of those problems.
These days, daily flights to London, I think so.
Yeah, we've got three, gladly we've got 3 commercial flights.
Every day?
Every day, morning and evening. And that shows that the place is opening. In fact, 2 of the flights, Fly 540 and Skyward Airlines, are routing through Eldoret to Lodwar and back. And positively, there's quite a huge number. Sometimes you can, if you book the flight within 2 days, you can get a seat. So it just shows you how the place is growing. And we hope that our consultations with the National Government Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure will bear fruit to the construction of a new airport in Lodwar.
What about road networks? Once you get out of the plane, how accessible is the rest of the country?
The road section Particularly, let me begin with the international link road. The road section between Kitale, Kapenguri and Lodwar and all the way to the border of South Sudan has been in a very bad state. It's about 500 kilometers. It's been in bad state. But a month ago, we were happy that the World Bank provided funds, $55 million, to begin the construction of a 300-kilometer stretch, which we hope the contractors will begin the work by May next year, after they have been identified. The other section, we've also been informed by the National Treasury, discussions are at the advanced stage for other donors to work with the national government to construct that road. So I see positivism in that. Out of Lodwar to the rural areas, we've done significantly to grade the rural roads, and that's a work we are continuing, although with a lot of challenges, because we've got about 12,000 kilometers of rural roads, and essentially we can only do this much with the resources that we're having, but the very critical ones we're opening, and I do hope that this will help support any investors wanting to move around and see what is available.
When we see, as in the beginning I said, when you look at Turkana, you think about those traditional people, and what about health and the infrastructure? Because the health has now been devolved.
Yeah,
I don't know whether you have hospitals or whether people, the mothers and children are dying in maternities.
Thank you, Mutegi. Number one is the only uniting thing for Turkana community is culture. So we've begun every year a cultural celebration called Tobonglore Festival, and this asks everyone in the world to come for pilgrimage and reconnect with their past. And indeed, it's performing magic, because it's uniting the Turkana people to think about development, to think about business, to think about investing back home. But second, in my administration, health is a priority number one. We have managed to fix and put drugs, get health staff for about 165 health facilities. We have begun modernizing Lodwar Referral Hospital, Lodwar County Referral Hospital. We hope in 1 year from now it will be a full referral. But in the state it is now, it helped us reduce referral to Moi Referral Hospital by 70%. And we have also fixed all the other health facilities out in the rural areas. We provided drugs, we have employed personnel. As I mentioned much earlier to you, that now we have 44 doctors. We had 4 when we began 3 years ago, and several nurses, and we are still recruiting additional technical staff. In fact, we want now to embark on recruiting 400 different various cadres of health personnel, to be able to make sure that we have sufficient numbers of personnel at all the rural health facilities.
Thank you very much, Manakabana.
Asante.
As you have heard, the next place to go if you want to invest is Turkana. It's going to be the El Dorado of Kenya.